Yep. Yeah, this is all ancient texts, and these texts were from the Aryans, and they told their story. And
well, now,
go ahead.
If they are leaving, if they're going, or they have the ability to go back and forth to Mars and further,
yeah.
I'm sure.
They do.
Isn't a coronal mass ejection going to destroy Mars as well?
No, because they're underground. They're going out. If you're first off, it will hit Mars, but it won't be anything like what happens here.
Oh.
Okay. Secondly, it hits. The problem with the coronal mass ejection, which I have to say the film 2012 did a pretty good job of evoking, is that it is a huge electromagnetic blast, which has a commensurate effect on the core, which is heavily electromagnetic of the Earth.
Right.
Okay, so it causes a core flip.
Huh.
Okay, here's how it works. The poles of the sun orbit or rotate every 37 days.
Mm-hmm.
The equator of the sun would also rotate every 37 days, except that the angular momentum of the planets at the equator of the solar system causes it to slow down. So it only rotates at 26 days instead of 37.
Mm-hmm.
It rotates a little bit faster. Every 87 days, there is a crossing over of the magnetic field as the 26 catches up to the 37 again. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Every 87 days, there's a small electromagnetic crossing, which encases the sun in an tightly woven electromagnetic shell.
Okay.
After about 13,000 years of this nonsense, the entire sun is bound in a huge, receding quickly electromagnetic field, which has a commensurate effect on the Earth's electromagnetic field, which also begins receding.
Huh.
This is all happening right now with the loss of the sunspots and the Earth's magnetic field receding. Okay, this is all, it's a 13,000-year cycle that we are right on the edge of, and when the sun finally has to right itself, i.e. move its rotational fields back into sync again, which it has to do, there will be a huge electromagnetic storm which will go out way beyond the Earth. There will be carrying with it gigantic coronal mass ejections which will ignite the forests of the Earth and boil the oceans, and if you're underground on Mars, well, you have a pretty good chance of making it. There's no electromagnetic fields on Mars. There's no tectonic plates.
Oh.
Nothing's going to be spinning around. And, you just wait it out. You just wait it out. And after, maybe a few hundred years, I don't know how long, when the forests grow back and the animal life comes back, then you mount your expeditions and you go back. So we're building not only the expeditions that are going there, what we've been building for the last 300 years is the expeditions that are going to take them back, the ships that are going to take them back here, too.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And it recurs all the time. And the Vedic texts and the Mahabharata, this is what they're discussing. And including the gigantic ships, or arcs as they call them. And I'm not, and I want to make one thing clear, I'm not saying white people are Aryans. I'm saying that white people are the bastard children of Aryans and Earth people.
Okay.
You understand? These are not, they don't look like us at all. They're chalk white. They're freakish kind of looking. They're where the vampire myths come from, because they can only come on the surface of the Earth at night, because they have and their skin is so translucent that that you can see the capillary system, and so they look blue in certain kinds of light.
Well, there was a movie that was made on, it was a remake of The War of the Worlds,
Yes.
And I thought to myself, well, isn't this kind of strange for him to make this kind of movie where they're already underground and they just beam through those laser beams?
Very prescient. Yes. Spielberg has to know. I mean, when I saw that, I just went, my God, he has to know.
Yeah,
he has to know that they've been here the whole time. And they are underground. That's exactly where they are.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, these other things that we see, and I'm not saying there's not other aliens, and there could be, I'm not even going to argue that, but some of the other things that we've been seeing are their robotic creations, and they've been here, these robotic creations, for a long time, man. And I don't know if they're robotic or they're genetic. I mean, I can't tell. I think sometimes they're robotic and sometimes they're genetic.
Yeah.
And so, you have to ask yourself, here's the thing that Obama has to ask himself, all right?
Yeah.
He knows that these guys are leaving. He knows there's a disaster coming of some kind. Okay? Yeah. They shoot a hyperdimensional weapon over Norway while he's picking up the Peace Prize, right?
Right.
Everybody's like screaming and yelling, why does Obama get the Peace Prize? He hasn't done a damn thing. Okay? I'm going to tell you why Obama gets the Peace Prize. He gets the Peace Prize so he doesn't shoot at them while they're leaving. Okay? And here's the problem that he faces, though, and this is a serious problem.
Yeah.
Okay? You're the Aryans, and you're back on Mars, waiting for the coronal mass ejection. You got the hatches buttoned down, everything, all right?
Okay.
What is to prevent the elites that you've left behind from back engineering the crap that you've left behind the ship and coming after you and stealing your place and living? Okay, no, I know it sounds crazy, but
to me it doesn't.
True. And I'll tell you what, he's worried that they're going to attack us. And that's what that thing in Norway was about. And these people are saying that these are benevolent aliens and stuff. You haven't read your history. The Aryans stormed down. They enslaved all of India. They created the caste system.
Every war has been created indirectly by this influence, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And if you read, what's that guy's name? Colin Andrews' book, Ashes of Angels. He talks about these. Oh, it's a great book. He talks about this history of these babies, these magical babies that are born, and they're all white, and they have white hair and chalk white skin. And some tribes, were fearful of these children, and they killed them. And some tribes thought that these children were some kind of exalted being, and they raised them up into exaltedness within the tribe. And these beings frequently had red hair because the overabundance of iron oxide in the air on Mars causing red hair. And so they exalted these beings, and these were the European tribes who exalted these beings, had sex with them, with these children. And read his books. They're very interesting. And he talks.
I will. I'll check that out for sure.
And so I think like the Africans have a history of killing albino children right when they're born. I don't know if you know that, but they're considered wicked. Yeah, they're considered wicked. You can Google it. African tribe albino children, and you can see that they think that they're wicked or there's something bad about them. And so this is a long tradition where they would get rid of these angel demon children, and get rid of them, and so the Aryan influences are more prevalent among the European stock cultures, and so they became the vehicle for the real Aryans that have nothing to do with white people at all, actually, except for leaving behind some genetic trace to do their bidding. And so that's what's been going on. Skull and Bones is a part of this group, but Michael Tessarian has traced a lot of these German groups back. The German groups are the key. Once you start back engineering the German groups, you can find everything. The Saturnian Society, Aleister Crowley, all of the UFO stuff from South America. All this stuff is all intertwined into a cohesive story that makes total sense and gets rid of a lot of the gobbledygook, but it's backed up and bolstered by very, very serious ancient texts, Puranic texts, and Vedic texts, which tell the whole story very clearly.
Huh. Well, how does that tie into the idea that that there are different ages? In other words, do we ever get out from under the prison bars of some kind of highly advanced extraterrestrial civilization that controls us without our knowing? Isn't there supposed to be a golden age after the Iron Age?
Well, it is, but here's the thing, is that this is really the crux of the matter. The only way that you can have a golden age, what happens is that through the long cycle of the yugas, which is really called a kalpa, which is all of the cycles together, there are so many deaths. And as you approach the Bronze Age and the Kali Yuga, there's more and more deaths of violent nature. And it takes thousands and thousands of years for bones to vanish. The earth becomes haunted by an inescapable presence called the Ka from Egypt, which is a residual that's left behind. And the only way that you can have a golden age is for all of the Ka to be burned away, so that the earth is completely renewed. And unfortunately, these guys, these Aryans, broke the rules. They didn't want to die in the last catastrophe, which they had to do. That was part of the deal. The earth can only be renewed if all of the Ka goes. And they escaped, and they went away, and they kept all of the knowledge that had been gathered from the previous kalpa, and which you're also supposed to lose. So you start out in a pristine state, again, and they broke the rules. And this is why Tessarian's work is so good, because these guys broke the rules, and now instead of now we're just their slaves. Now racism has come into it, whereas before there was no racism. Now there's a racism. The Earth peoples are too stupid. The Earth peoples are too dumb. And it's not dumb or stupid. They never had the advanced technology carried over from the Dark Age to the Golden Age, or should have been a Golden Age. And this is the problem. And so there has to be a cleansing of the Earth so that it can be renewed. And they're not allowing that to happen. And they keep bringing back the same genetic strains, when actually the Earth is constantly rolling the dice and searching for new genetic strains that it can use to embrace and place consciousness in. The Aryans keep bringing back all the old structures. This is why corn is a hybrid. You know that, right? Yeah, corn is a hybrid. When they discovered corn, even to this day, it was a hybrid. Somebody had messed with it a long time ago.
It's all genetically modified.
Well, it is, and again, you have to ask yourself why that's being allowed, and why all the forests are being cut down, and
then why the chemtrails and HAARP.
Those are to keep us away from seeing what is going on behind our backs, which is a gigantic evacuation. And they don't care about us anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now, it seems like there ought to be some kind of higher authority that, let's just call it the cosmic patrol, that oversees what's fair and what's not fair. In other words, aren't there some kinds of higher and more advanced ETs or civilizations or angelic realms or whatever that can put things straight?
Well, there may be, but we don't know.
We don't know. We just know this much.
We know as much as we know, and that's all we know. They say that there are. The Vedic texts say that the divas, which have been destroyed through this current Kali Yuga, according to the text, the divas have gone back to the Godhead. They left. Yep. This is all ancient texts, and these texts were from the Aryans, and they told their story. And
well, now,
go ahead.
If they are leaving, if they're going, or they have the ability to go back and forth to Mars and further,
yeah.
I'm sure
They do.
Isn't a coronal mass ejection?
Is that it is a huge electromagnetic blast, which has a commensurate effect on the core, which is heavily electromagnetic of the Earth.
Right.
Okay, so it causes a core flip.
Huh.
Okay, here's how it works. The poles of the sun orbit or rotate every 37 days.
Mm-hmm.
The equator of the sun would also rotate every 37 days, except that the angular momentum of the planets at the equator of the solar system causes...
That's going to destroy Mars as well?
No, because they're underground. They're going out. If you're first off, it will hit Mars, but it won't be anything like what happens here.
Oh.
Okay. Secondly, it hits the problem with the coronal mass ejection, which I have to say the film 2012 did a pretty good job of it to slow down. So it only rotates at 26 days every instead of 37.
Mm-hmm.
It rotates a little bit faster. Every 87 days, there is a crossing over of the magnetic field as the 26 catches up to the 37 again. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.